I'm so sorry. I had shoved a cookie in my mouth thinking I could finish it. I'm sorry. All right. Y'all caught me. You caught me. My bad. You guys caught me. I was sneaking cookies. All right. I asked what this reading was going to be about. And what I heard was, let's talk about it and do something powerful. So, stuff's going on, I assume. And there's stuff that maybe you don't quite know how to approach it, or or maybe you do know how to approach it, but you need validation. And it's my hope that this live stream, this video, is going to give you that validation and that direction that you're seeking. This is the wind up to that 888 portal. And you have to make sure that you utilize this period, as powerfully as you can. And I'm not talking about these dang. Oh my God. Y'all. All right. Any card, I have this rule. Any card that, oh, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Okay. Any card that I look at, I have to pull. So I think Mikaeli bamboozled me just now. This is a wind up to that 888 portal. And you have to use this time wisely. Many people believe that the 888 portal is just the perfect time to begin that manifestation, to really bring to fruition the things that you want, the things that you're needing, the type of circumstance, the type of connections, all of that. I'm feeling this back and forth of energy, just completely back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I don't want this deck. Put it back. These two. All right. It's going to be a lot of cards, you guys. It's going to be a lot of cards. Okay. I'm going to really try and go through this as quickly and efficiently as possible. Let's get started. Okay. So first and foremost, let me just go ahead and do this. Okay, a message. So there's a message coming through for you. Okay, hold up. Darn it. There's a message coming through for you, and whatever that message is, you're going to need to interpret it. Okay, you can't just take in messages as they are. You have to decide, how does this apply to your life? How does this apply to what you're trying to achieve, what you're working towards, all of that. And in addition, for a lot of us, we begin thinking that any type of struggle, any type of hiccup that we might experience as we're trying to accomplish things, we start wondering if it's punishment. We start wondering if maybe we're headed the wrong direction and all of this other stuff. And it's like, not everything in life is supposed to be easy. There's that concept of The things that are worth your while often are inconvenient, often are the things that you have to work towards, that you have to earn. And, we have to kind of wonder, or not wonder, but ask ourselves, do I get frustrated easily because things typically come easy for me? Right? Uh, Oftentimes, when I'm struggling to learn something, I can get frustrated rather easily because of the fact that uh usually, not always, but usually, it's very, very easy for me to learn things. And so when something comes my way and it's very difficult for me to learn it and I'm struggling through it, sometimes I just get all discombobulated because of the fact that I'm needing to put more effort. But I promise you, every time that that's happened to me, when I finally learn what I'm trying to learn, when I finally accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish, it's a very, very powerful moment of realization of how much I can actually do. So sometimes that's why we go through the things that we go through, at the difficulty that we experience. Okay. So there's a lot of messages that are going to be coming in, and you're going to need to, um, basically pay attention to what the message means to you. I could say a single sentence, and it can have, okay, so right now there's 25 people. It can have 25 different meanings. That one sentence can mean 25 different things for 25 different people, right? So you have to decide how to interpret and apply the message. The moon in reverse. So it's this sense of the feminine aspects are upside down right now. Hmm. The things that are hidden are dangled upside down. Um, my mind, I'm trying to understand what this message could possibly mean. And immediately my mind goes towards birth. When it's time to give birth, um, a healthy and safe pregnancy, the baby will turn upside down as it prepares to descend down the birth canal head first, right? So, is this an indicator that you're going to be starting a rebirthing process? Possibly. Is it going to be easy? Probably not. Probably not. Is it something that's going to be worth your while? Most likely. How should you receive this? Oh, for some of us, we receive it as though it's a forbidden thing. Ah, that's what's going to create a lot of the problems. When you believe other people's limitations of you, because I'm sure that day in and day out, you hear other people sharing their opinions of how you shouldn't do this and how you shouldn't do that. Going back to that one speaker that I was talking about, Gary or Jerry or whatever his name is. I like him though. Um, I remember another video that I had seen. I haven't seen too many of his videos. I've maybe seen like 10 of them. But another video that I had seen of his, that always sticks out in my mind is people, because he uses bad words. He's a bad word sayer. And people, he said that people had asked him, why do you have to speak that way? Can't you fix the way you speak and this and that? And he basically was like, what the fuck do you care? Yep. And he was serious. He's like, what the F do you care? Like, this is how I speak. And if you don't like how I speak, then don't listen to what I have to say. You know, these people who benefit from you and your presence, and they have the audacity, legit audacity, to also have this demand of how they will receive the benefit. No, no, we don't do that here. Like, is it Gary Vee? Is that his name? I love his work. I don't know too much of it, but I love his work. And that's the thing. Like, I enjoy what few videos I've seen of his because of the fact that he is just absolutely so authentic. Like, he has information that you could potentially benefit from if you could just get out of this box of preconceived notion, this box of this, you know, expectation of how the beneficial information should be delivered, right? Like, I could totally relate to that, where people have this expectation of me to deliver like life altering information in the way they dictate. No, that's not how it works. If I want to drop F bomb after F bomb after F bomb, that's my prerogative. That's my decision. You do not tell me what areas of my life and my communication are forbidden from me. I don't think so. That's just not how it works, right? That's just not how it works. So we have to allow ourselves to exit out of that mindset that causes us to feel as though certain ways of growing, certain paths are forbidden from us. No, the truth of the soul, the truth of the journey of your soul is there is no path. That spiritual journey has no path. And these people that try and convince you that you are off the path, that you need to find your path, that path this, path that, oh, that the path of the soul is a well-worn, that means you're doing the same caca every single life. That means you haven't learned jack shit. Really let yourself think about this. In order to develop a path in a wilderness, you have to traverse that specific strip of land over and over and over and over and over. You can make a path into a circle. It's a path. Make the path, make that circle so huge that you can't tell it's a circle. It's a path. It's my spiritual path. It is your imprisonment. I have no path. The truth of my spiritual journey is I travel through a wilderness that no one else has been through, the wilderness of my mind and my heart, and I am the only explorer allowed to travel that land. If I'm the only one, how will there be a path? There won't. There is nothing forbidden from you except the things you agree to forbid yourself from. So you have to begin no longer agreeing to what other people are telling you is a limitation. Ooh, denial. I'll share a little story. I love to share stories, little nonsensical stories of my life, right? So one day we went to Costco and I squealed because I saw that they had a whole ton of fruit trees. And we didn't go there for fruit trees. I believe we went there to go buy some chicken. And I would not stop. Like, please, please. Being super annoying, please get me a tree. And so finally, my husband agrees, right? My husband agrees. And I pick a nectarine tree. I was in love with this tree. And at first, it lived inside with us. this this tree is like taller than me. I want to say it's about 8 feet tall. Luckily, we had higher ceilings and the tree lived indoors with us. And then I began noticing that the leaves were falling off. I rationalized that it would be okay for the tree to live indoors with us because, first off, the snow still wasn't done. We were still catching snow here and there. And I didn't, you can't let snow get on the nectarine tree, it'll kill it. And I figured there were skylights installed in the ceiling. So that's enough sunlight, right? Filtered light, whatever. And then I have my grow lights. But the tree was not happy there. So eventually, when I knew that the snow was no longer a threat, I brought it outside. And as I did that, part of the top of the tree hit the top of the sliding door. We had double sliding doors, and I didn't want to open both sides. So part of it hit the top. And so I would say about 1/3 of the little marble sized nectarines fell off from the impact. That's fine. I still have maybe 40 nectarines that are growing. I bring it to its proper place. And I failed to realize that the large nursery pot that it was in was not heavy enough. And that area that I was living in sometimes would have high winds. And so it knocked my tree down. There goes maybe 1/8 of the nectarines that are left. Oh, that's okay. I still have 30 something nectarines. And then we start the moving process. We relocate to a completely different state. I had set the timer for the watering system that I installed. We were gone for about a week, and that system failed. By the time I arrived, the nectarines, they're about the size of a golf ball now. They look shriveled. And so I began excessively hydrating the tree, and they plump back up. But in the process of moving that tree in my relocation to a completely different state, I think over 1,000 miles away, I lost more of the nectarines. I love nectarines. That's one of my most favorite fruits. And I'm like, that's okay. We still got like 20 nectarines. We got this. It's only a few more months until August, which is when you're supposed to begin harvesting. I put it in its proper place, and it was wedged between the post and another tree that doesn't fall over. And I thought it was safe. And then I went out to go water it one morning, and it was gone. And I was like, where is my tree? It had fallen over because trash pandas came and climbed the effing tree. There goes more nectarines, right? And so I struggled to pick this freaking tree up, which I did it because I'm a mama bear, and you don't leave one of my plant children laying face down in the rocks. I pick it up and I secure it. It's not going to fall anymore. But this time, there's only about 6 nectarines left. Those nectarines, I cherish them. I cherished them, and I loved on them. And I love this tree so fucking much. I swear to God. I don't know why, but I love this tree so much. And I'm like, I'm going to take care of you 6. That's it. Like, we're going to bring you to full ripeness. And I'm going to eat you. And I'm going to love it. And I'm going to taste the love that I put into this tree. Fast forward a couple more weeks. I go down there, and I'm so excited. Every day I'm like, yes, so close. We're so close. And one day I go down there, and 3 out of the 6 have been bitten into. They're still on the tree. I was so livid. I was so livid. Now I only have 3 because I'm not going to eat the 3 that have already been bitten into. They're half eaten, still dangling on my tree. Finally, I rip those off and I leave them on the floor. Maybe the trash pandas would like that instead, so they don't keep climbing my tree. And then about a week ago, there were only 2 left. And I was like, those are the only 2. We got to make it just like 3 more weeks. 3 more weeks, right? Wrong. The next day, I saw one of them on the ground. And I was like, oh my God. There was only one left on the tree. And the one on the ground, it had not been bitten into. And I was like, did it fall because it's so ripe? You best believe I picked that up. I washed it off while in my freaking garden. And I bit into it, and it was the sweetest, most ripest, most delicious nectarine I have ever tasted in my life. And I realized I was so focused on what the little card said that it was attached to the tree, and it said that they reached their full ripeness in early August. I didn't realize they had already reached their ripeness, and that's why those raccoons came and climbed my tree. I was so focused on what someone else told me that the 6 that were left, I could have enjoyed that, but I didn't, because I had forbidden myself from taking it from the tree. Instead of checking for ripeness, which I know how to check for the ripeness of a nectarine, I didn't. I didn't touch them because I was forbidden. I forbade myself from accessing what was rightfully mine, to the point where these masked fucking marauders came in the middle of the night and looted my tree. Like, is that how you're living your life in your journey? Where you cherish something to that degree that it ends up not being able to be cherished by you because you've separated yourself from it. You don't allow yourself to access it. You don't allow this, you don't allow that. And I learned that day. I learned that day. I'm not going to do that again next year. And one of my kids asked me, "Is this tree sick?" And I was like, "Why? Why would you ask me that?" And he says to me, "Well, because it's not growing flowers. Are you not going to grow nectarines anymore?" And I said to him, "That only grows once a year. This year it's done. The tree is done and it needs to rest. And when the weather gets colder, the leaves will fall off and it will look like it's dead, but it's sleeping. And when it wakes up again, it will grow as many flowers as it wants. And those flowers will become nectarines. You haven't lost your opportunity. The cycle needs to be allowed to basically be purged out so that you can then grow anew. You don't have to deny yourself things. Like, I shouldn't have denied myself. I should have checked that fruit. I should have allowed myself to touch them and feel for softness. I had this preconceived notion because they were like the size of like a tennis ball. They weren't very huge, right? Maybe smaller than a tennis ball. And I was thinking to myself that I'm going to grow this thing to the size of a softball, like how you get at the grocery store. Those are not natural nectarines. Though your fruits and veggies have a lessened likelihood of growing to the size that you have in the grocery stores, especially if you're constantly having to move houses, right? So this is me recalibrating myself. This is me recalibrating my expectations of what I create. Just because it doesn't have this size that I'm looking for does not mean it doesn't carry the sweetness that I crave. It doesn't mean that at all. Growing a giant pumpkin, that thing is about the size of a basketball, maybe like a personal size basketball right now. And I'm over here like, well, would that be like really a giant? Or will it, like, what size will that be? And I keep telling myself, like, just give it the space that it needs. It's going to grow into whatever size it needs to be. Just keep giving it what it needs. And I think that's what we have to do for ourselves. Just keep giving ourselves what we need rather than forcing and denying and forcing and denying. I think most empaths, we fluctuate between cycles of forcing and denying ourselves. Self-control can be a bad thing as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. That self-control might not even be self-control. You might be intellectualizing your denial of self as self-control, because I do that. I do that. I deny things for myself. Sometimes there are things that are necessities. I will deny myself that necessity as a form of proof of self-control. And I realize I'm not not doing self-control right now. I'm full on denying myself. I'm full on punishing myself. For what? Because someone one day convinced me that I deserve to be punished. It's time to let all of that BS go. Don't delete the recordings. Okay. We all have some type of recording that exists in our minds. Recordings from childhood, recordings from young adulthood, just these things that people have said to us and have stuck with us. Don't delete those recordings. Instead, whenever that recording plays, allow yourself to use that recording to remind you of where you will not return to, what you will do the opposite of. That's how I became empowered within my life. That is how I became empowered within my life. So, a lot of us, part of our empowerment has to do with recalibrating how we receive the information we receive. Remember, I was talking about this at the beginning of the live stream. The way you receive the information must be dictated by you. How you interpret the information you receive must be determined by you. No one else. No one else. Chaos in reverse. You're not living chaos. You are chaos magic exploring itself. As someone who has OCD, it's very well controlled these days. I embrace my chaotic nature. I'm chaotic by nature. That doesn't mean I'm unnecessarily aggressive. That doesn't mean I'm less than anyone else. That doesn't mean any of that. That means I can handle whatever life throws my way because I throw it out immediately. Have you ever tried throwing something into a tornado? Whatever gets sucked into the tornado eventually gets tossed out by it. Chaos is like that. I don't have to hold on to anything. And that's the beauty of my chaos. Whatever I hold on to, it's because I chose to. And I realize this, and that realization is powerful. It's very, very powerful to understand that you don't have to be forced to hold on to things. You have the right and the power to toss it out if you want. Let it go, fling it out. Trapped. You're not trapped. None of us are. None of us are trapped. We go through programming to convince us that we're trapped. We go through all sorts of different life circumstance that programs us to have these limited belief structures, but you're not actually trapped. You're not. You're not actually trapped. The moment you refuse to continue to live as though you're trapped is the moment you will begin to seek out the solutions that will liberate you. You have to seek out those solutions. Because if not, then you're not actually interested in being free, being liberated. Let's talk about people who are truthers, right? And we're going to piss a lot of people off in a second. I don't care. We have these people who are truthers, truth seekers, whatever you want to call them, right? And it's this thing where they believe that they've set themselves free, that they're somehow advanced, they are somehow more evolved, smarter. They like to call other people sheep. They like to use all of these different terms, all of these different phrases. Like, you have to do your research. Okay, what are you researching? Where are you getting this information? From another person just like you? Is that where? Oh, okay. So how do you know the validity of this? Because Trump is QAnon. What? You're believing someone that the news talks about? That's controlled opposition. That's controlled opposition. This belief that you are somehow so far advanced and liberated and free, you're just playing another game. That's the next part of the game. So you have all this information, right? What are you doing with it? Outside from posting on social media, what are you doing with that information? Are you applying it to your daily life? Are you somehow helping to liberate people who are, being trafficked? Are you, what are you doing with that? Not a goddamn thing. Not a thing. Not a thing. You're not cool. You're not advanced. You're just a different type of brainwashed. I said what I said. Why do I think this? Well, I'll tell you. Have you heard of straw man? Have you applied that to your life? Have you heard of state national? How have you applied that to your life? Do you know the difference between different types of citizenship? As a United States citizen, you're part of the corporation. As a state national, you're a citizen of the land. A whole bunch of other things that I could talk about. Are you into anarchy? What's your definition of anarchy? If you were to create a scene that expresses that shows anarchy, how would you describe that scene? Would it be a free-for-all? Would it be like some movie? See, so you're not free. You're part of the controlled opposition. For me, the definition of anarchy is self-regulation. That means I'm going to grow my own food. That means I'm going to protect myself and my family and the land I occupy. That means you do not govern me. That means I govern myself. That means if you trespass, there are consequences. That means if you steal, there are consequences. That means the law of the land is the order I live by. It's all about peace. And a lot of people don't realize they're part of the controlled opposition. You haven't lived from anything. You want to talk about how political parties are blah, 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 blah. The fact that you ticks, you are still part of that system. You are still part of that system. When you are so concerned about what other people are doing, rather than preparing yourself, fortifying yourself and your home, you are still part of that system. If you cannot defend your home and your family, and you rely on the police department coming to save your ass, yet you're there talking shit about the very police department that you will call as soon as shit hits the fan for you and your family, you are still part of the very system you talk shit about. So what does that make you? A participant, a willing participant. If you break into my home and you threaten my family, I will do whatever I need to do to neutralize that threat, and then I will call the police. Oh, I mean that. I do not want to harm anyone, but you will not harm my family. I will not wait the 10 to 15 minutes it will take for a police officer to arrive to do what I can do for myself. I am not above the law. I will operate within the law. I will only ever occupy counties where I have the right to defend my castle, or they have the dirty, hairy laws. I'm just saying. I will never occupy a place where I do not have the right to defend myself and my family with force. I am responsible for myself and my family. I'm not talking about vigilante justice. I'm talking about operating within the laws of the land, operating within the constitutionally provided rights. Those are constitutionally protected rights. Those are not privileges. Those are rights, duties, and obligations to self and soul. We have people who think that they have done profound things because they are able to regurgitate what someone else is saying. Bravo to you for being able to memorize and regurgitate. I would prefer someone who thinks for themselves, not regurgitate. When it comes to spiritual matters, years ago, I was a huge fan of Jason Silva. I mean, his delivery is impeccable. His speaking voice, just everything is beautiful. Beautiful man. I used to think he had a beautiful brain. I used to think he was a beautiful thinker, profound thinker. And then I realized after observing him for a period, oh, nothing you ever say is really your thoughts. You're a performer. It doesn't take away from your performance. You're a beautiful performer, beautiful speaker, but you don't actually speak your thoughts. You are extremely verbose and articulate as you share the thoughts of profound people, but they're never actually his thoughts. Are you a Jason Silva? Is that what it is? You're really good at sharing other people's thoughts, but never have any thoughts of your own. Now is a time to begin thinking for yourself, questioning, forming conclusions based on what you've observed, not just blindly listening to someone. I don't ever want you to blindly listen to what I have to say. What I talk about is my opinion and my opinion alone. It's no more valid than your opinion. Actually, if I'm going to be brutally honest, your opinion for your life should be much more valid than mine could ever be. It's your life. It's your journey. So what do we end up doing? We end up giving the validation we rightfully need and deserve from ourselves. We give it to other people in hopes that they will come and validate us. Because I gave to you, you have to give to me. That's a transactional relationship. That's transactional. And if you establish that type of dynamic in the relationship you're in, whether it's romantic relationship or platonic, be ready for the transactions. Be ready for the expectations and the obligations. You have to be ready for that. If you want to be free from all these different types of obligatory existence, you have to begin within yourself. You have to begin this process of no longer forbidding yourself from accessing the thoughts, the opinions, the right to choose how to accept or decline other people's opinions. People think like, oh, well, what about facts? Facts are what? Facts are what? Oh, opinions are just, you can't really prove it. It's someone's stance. Okay, so I believe that facts are just a higher, more evolved level of opinion, because now you've taken the time to create the evidential stuff that's necessary to prove it as fact. The one constant about science and medicine is if you give it enough time, if enough years go by, if enough technology, new technology is created, science eventually disproves itself. What do you mean, Emmy? Well, once upon a time, couple generations back, science said that smoking was safe. Let's make it even more extreme. Once upon a time, science said that if you are a homemaker and you are bored with your life, or you have a hard time submitting to your husband's will, a lobotomy would be a perfect treatment for you. Lobotomy, that's where they destroy your frontal lobes. The front portion of your brain, the part that contains your personality, your processing ability, that part. They said destroy that part, insert a foreign material, and allow that to liquefy that part of the brain. Just absolutely destroy that part so that you could better accept your lot in life. The only constant about science is that eventually it will disprove itself. And what was once accepted as fact will then be negated and rejected, replaced by a new fact. So, what are we actually doing? No one really knows. So, when you don't know what you're doing, are you supposed to know? Or are you supposed to do an experience and develop that knowing, that understanding after you do an experience? It's not before. Isn't that kind of like that saying, putting the cart before the horse? Yeah. Horses can pull, not so much push. They're not designed to push, right? You can't then be like, this horse is useless. It's not pushing the cart properly. Well, a horse is not designed to push. Sorry. Focus. You have to have focus on what it is you're aiming towards. What are you trying to accomplish in this period? Are you focused on what you're trying to accomplish? Are you allowing yourself to be distracted? Hope. Is that all you have is hope? If you allow yourself to enter into the next stage of your evolution as a human and a soul, that hope should naturally ripen into a gnosis. Hope and faith are part of the toddlerhood of our soul. Hope and faith, um, hope and faith definitely have to do with you waiting for someone else, someone outside of you, to come in and correct what's happening. And you have to have faith. You have to have faith that someone else will do something that you might not be able to do. I'm not sure. I mean, did you try? Did you make an attempt? Or are you thinking like, well, I've never done this before, so I shouldn't do it at all? I mean, you know, like what's actually happening here? Um, let's see. Rigid. See, I asked the question and then it's answered. Rigid. You're being rigid in your expectations. You're being rigid in what you believe is your proper place within your life. There's never going to be a benefit to that rigidity. Not when it comes to your spiritual matters, not when it comes to your personal growth. There's never a benefit of the rigidity unless what you're needing is to be broken down. Then, yes, be rigid. It's very easy to break something that's rigid. You find its tensile strength and you go slightly beyond that and it's broken. Now, when you're flexibly strong, that becomes a more dynamic type of thing to break you. It becomes much more difficult. And I think the whole purpose of developing strength is to develop your flexible strength, not your rigidity, not your tensile strength. Cycles in reverse. You have to get out of these cycles. You have to get out of the very cycles that keep you in this loop of thinking you're not enough, living as though you're not enough. When you think you're not enough, you'll begin to make decisions that lead to actions that show you you are not enough. But are you actually not enough? I was telling someone dear to me once, being incapable and being unwilling are two different things. They thought you were incapable, but in reality, you were just unwilling. How does that apply to you? Are you incapable of the growth that you're experiencing, or are you just currently unwilling to grow in the way your soul is asking you to grow? That's a form of rigidity. And if you're going to be rigid like that, you know, it's going to definitely be something that it's going to break you. Trust me, I've been broken so many times by life, not by other people, but by my decisions. My decision to either comply, my decision to avoid. Like, I take full accountability of what I live through, what I experience. Do you? Do you do that? Do you allow yourself to really, really take accountability? Like, you know what? This decision led to that. Okay. I decided that. It's not about blame. It's about recognizing if I decide A and it leads to B and I want to be at Z, then I'm probably going to need to select a different option that leads to Z instead of choosing A that leads to B, right? Has nothing to do with blame. Invisible. It's almost like this fear or this belief that you're invisible. I promise you, you're not. Many of us think we're invisible because of the people in our environment. They like to go out of their way to ignore our accomplishments, and they like to go out of their way to point out any failures. I promise you this. The people who notice every time you make a misstep also noticed every single success. But hell no, they're not going to notice that verbally. They're not going to make it known that they see you succeeding. Get rid of those people, for real. If you are super vocal every time I'm at a low point, but you're mute and absent every time I skyrocket up, fuck out of my life, for real. I don't even have to explain anything. You are not a friend. You are a hater. You are a close quarter hater. I don't have the time and the space for that. I don't have the patience. I'm not evolved enough to have people like that anywhere near me. It's okay for me to admit that to myself. I am not evolved enough to develop the skills to tolerate your shit. I'm just not. I'm not. See, if I can be honest with myself in that way, when you come and say something about, like, oh my God, and you say you're spiritual, no, you said I'm spiritual. I am a regular human being having a human moment where I am considering my needs before your preferences. Besides, if you don't like me anyways, why do you need to be around? That's right. You don't like me because you like me. Thank you for that. You stick around and don't like me because I'm everything you wish you could be. Thank you for that backhanded validation. Okay, your time here is done though. Time for you to go. Because I don't need that consistently in my life. You guys don't need that consistently in your life. You don't need to keep people around because what they're going to say something. The people who make you feel that way, I promise you, they've been saying many things, not just something. They've been saying many, many, many things about you this whole time. I promise you. I promise you. Once upon a time, I used to do this thing where it's funny to me now. It was a little bit catty. It was a little bit immature, but boy, oh boy, people would really show me. So these people who are like this that were in my life at that point, sometimes I would just randomly be like, why are you talking shit? And based on their reaction to that, it would tell me everything I needed to know. Because see, the people who are in my life who weren't talking shit about me to other people, I say that and they would laugh. They'd be like, shut up. What are you talking about? And then the people who were talking shit, they'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Who told you that? Like, you did. You told me that. Oh, no, I never said that. I never, what do you mean I told you that? You just told me that. Who's telling you that I was talking shit? What did they say? You just told me. Why are you around? If you're so worried that someone you were talking shit about me to told me you were talking shit, why stick around? Instead of wasting your time being worried about that, just leave. Leave me be. They'll show you exactly who they are when you're not around. They will. And when you ask a question like that, I mean, I don't encourage you to ask questions like that unless you are absolutely ready to start a whole bunch of drama in your life. Because boy, oh boy, I promise you, that person is going to go to everyone they've talked shit about you to, like, what'd you say to her? And then they're going to go to you and be like, why are you telling her that I'm talking caca about you and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's going to start a whole. But see, here's the thing. That's also a really effective way to see exactly who they speak to. The people who come to you and ask you, like, did you tell so and so that I told you they were talking about you? That's who they talk to about you. That's who they talk to about you. And now you know. Now you know who actually allows other people to badmouth you in front of them in your absence. The only people that I consider friends, I know for damn sure. I know for damn sure if you were to ever talk crap about me to them, they would be so quick to be like, F you, don't ever talk to me again. What the hell are you talking about? They might tell me, they might not. Who knows? 99% of 927. That's a whole lot of nines, guidance and completion. That becomes 2727, which is 99, which is 18, which is 9. This is about you entering into your godly state. The oath. Oath. It's in reverse. Whatever it is that you've pledged this oath of devotion, this oath of like loyalty to, if it's not to yourself, rescind it. Take it back. Take it back. You have a right to do that. Movement in reverse. This is about stagnation, becoming very, very stagnant in your journey of self-worth. It's about finding your worth and not allowing other people to trip you up in what you perceive yourself to deserve. Masculine is now right side up. Focus. Look, he's looking very intently. He's looking very, very intently. He's playing his own song. I mean, that I've never looked at it in that way, but that facial expression kind of makes me feel like he's ready. Like he's looking at you directly. He's looking at whoever is challenging his growth, his movement. He's looking at them directly and is like, I know what you're doing. I know what you're trying. I know. I'm seeing. I'm observing. That's a good thing. High priest and priestess responsibility. This is about shifting from, my nose is so itchy. Shifting from this place of recognizing how other people are affecting you and entering into a point within your life, within your perception, where you see that you've allowed it and you're no longer going to continue to allow it, where you're taking responsibility for the direction and the journey. Awakening. So waking up to the reality of what you've created, what you've allowed other people to create for you, whether it's hardship or good things. It doesn't have to necessarily be negative. Like, I woke up to the fact that I created an environment that welcomes people who are just like me. And then I also woke up to all of you being a beautiful reflection of what I need to see, aspects of myself existing outside of me, people who like to help others as much as I do, an actual community, a place where I feel as safe as I go out of my way to make other people feel, right? It's a very beautiful thing. This awakening doesn't have to be a negative process. It doesn't have to be this thing where it's like, here's the negative, here's more negative, and here's more negative, and here's more negative. You're just effing up this, all of it's effed up. It's all your fault. You need to, no. See, when you take my readings in that way, it's because you're living still with negative filters intact. When you hear the things that I say and it brings fear into your heart, it's because you filter your life and the messages through fear. No one else can ever control how you receive the information. Like years ago, I used to just blurt out information, right? And to me, it's like it's not scary. It's just like, yeah, no, demonic activity is rising. Um, you know, there's preparations being done because there's going to be much more demonic activity that's coming. Portal energies are being primed for more powerful demonic things to write on. We just kind of have to prepare. We have to be fully present. To me, that's very like, it's like matter of fact. Like, yeah, no. Oftentimes portal dates, that's what they do. That's what they use it for. And then people began telling me like they're so scared. I'm like, but why are you scared? I'm telling you this so you don't have to be scared. So you can like adjust yourself, adjust your approach, and be aware. Be aware that things will test you to try and lower your frequency so that way it can breach you. But if you're aware, it's like, when someone's hiding behind the corner to do a jump scare, but you know they're there. So would you be scared still? No, you'd be like, I know you're there. That's my logic because I've exited that space of fear. But then I began to learn most people have not exited that space of fear. Most people still very much live there. And so when I don't either preface what I'm going to say or make sure that I don't say anything that's not necessary, that it will create fear. And then I'm responsible for that because now I'm aware. And so that holds me to a higher degree of responsibility and accountability. You have to make sure you begin cleaning your filters so that you can begin receiving information in a very matter of fact way. Yeah. I mean, I've received quite a bit of different information pertaining to myself that's really messed up information. And because I've cleansed those filters and I consistently recalibrate them, I can take information where it's like years ago, I got information that if I were to go on a specific trip, like drive somewhere at a specific time, that I would get into a head on collision and die. Normally, I'd be scared, but at that point, I had already begun the process of cleansing my filters. And you know what? I was like, oh, so should I leave later or earlier? To me, I mean, I don't feel like dying yet. So later or earlier, is 10 minutes enough time or should I make it a larger window? What's up? Tell me which way I should go. It's not scary to me. Like, okay, so my soul's trying to keep me alive. Like, girlfriend, we need to avoid that road at this particular time. So you're going to have to adjust your schedule. That's how I take it now. If you can receive the information that is necessary for you to be able to prepare and make the adjustments that will prevent you from experiencing things that you don't need to experience, that's amazing. That's powerful. You are now fully controlling your experience, your life. Cleansing in reverse. I think for some, you think you're cleansing things, but in reality, you're just grinding in the dirt more. Yeah. Like, for example, you have a stain starting to set into your clothes, you spilled something on it, right? Um, Instead of pre-treating it and washing it in, I don't know, cold water, you go ahead and you just put it in the washing machine You set it on high temperature, and then you dry it before you check it. And what you failed to realize, that the dryer heat and the hot water was actually setting that stain, and you're probably never going to get it out at this point. Ooh, that sucks. That sucks. Right? It's like that. Understanding how to treat the fabrics, what process to do, understanding how to treat yourself, what process to use in order to get the stains that other people have left in you out. That's very important. It's very, very, very important. Spring. So, whatever this is that this reading is about, it's leading up to this very, very powerful period during next spring. Okay. So, that's like what, 6 or so months away, something like that. That's all the way on the other side of next year. What's going to happen though? Okay. So, I see all these birds, right? I see all these birds. And I've lived near farms. I lived on a farm. And I notice when I see a lot of birds like that, it reminds me of when farmers cut their fields down. Then all of the little critters that live in the fields, like the mice and whatnot, they're exposed. And so the birds come and they hover over, because that's a total buffet for them. Someone going to try and cut you down like that. Someone going to try and cut you down and harvest you in that way. Or, so that's the negative aspect of it. The positive aspect of it is that you're finally learning how to till your land and how to grow, and it's going to be time to harvest. Maybe it's something that you start now and you can harvest it in spring next year, that it will be something that's bountiful by spring, but you have to start now. Rebirth in reverse, there's no need to rebirth anything. You're fine as you are, and there's no need to be afraid of rebirthing if you need to. So guidance and fulfillment, you're being guided to a space of fulfillment. This is wish fulfillment. The thing that you want the most, it can happen for you if you allow it. But it requires intensification and passion. You have to go after it. You have to go with some gusto. There's one specific person that will hear this message and will totally be like, oh, Emmy is telling me to pursue her. Stay in your country, you fucking nasty ass. I already know, like, you lack intelligence. It's a specific person in a completely different country than me that is just obsessed and disgusting and highly possessed. Sorry, guys. You don't need protection. These are cycles. These are cycles that you're entering in. And here's the thing. As you enter into a cycle, you will also exit out of that cycle, because it's a cycle. It's a circle. Enter and exit, right? All right. So someone is going through the ending of something. Something is ending. And the communication has been injured. Look at the injury to her lip. Okay. The death card. Someone is ending something. They're in the process of it already. And as that ends, then they're going to begin the start of something new. Fertility, creation. And whatever it is they start will bring them back home. Homecoming, hearth. So self-sabotage, self-acceptance. No more of these two. They're in reverse. No more self-sabotage that leads to a lack of self-acceptance. No more of these two. 3, actually. Growth in reverse. So whatever is ending has been preventing you from accepting yourself and growing. It's been totally like, all of this needs to stop. You don't need to be redirected, okay? This was in reverse. The redirection sigil in reverse, you don't need to be redirected. You know exactly where you need to go. You've been afraid, but you're working through that fear. Go on that soul journey and invoke the Oraphim. Invoke the highest degree of self guidance and protection. Now, remember, I had said earlier that you don't need protection from your cycles. You need to exit those cycles. I want to reiterate that. You don't need protection so that you can stay longer in those cycles. You need to exit that cycle. And as you travel to a different space within yourself, maybe relocation, whatever it is, then yes, you need to have some type of protection from inclement weather, metaphoric inclement weather and literal. Use your intuition. You know exactly where you need to go and when you need to go. All right. Have integrity always. Time out in reverse. Keep going. Don't allow yourself to falter. Keep going. You are limitless. If you believe this, you will have an amazing experience on Mother Earth. You have to awaken to what it is you fear. See, be fearless in reverse. You have to awaken to what it is you fear. And I think what you fear is a lack of communication, or you fear what will happen when you finally do communicate. You're not going to know what happens if you reach out to communicate if you've never tried to reach out to communicate. That's like this cyclical thing. You have to surrender to the new beginning. You have to surrender to this new life that you're being asked to live. You hunger for wisdom, but really, what is wisdom but a ripened knowledge, a knowledge applied, a knowledge in action? You already have all the knowledge you need. You just haven't applied it, therefore, you have no wisdom from it. It's lack of gratitude, not understanding where your life is taking you, right? This desire for purity. In order to be pure, you have to be blind to what it is you're growing through. And then you wonder why you have no wisdom. If you're going to blind yourself from the knowledge that's acquired from what you live through, you're not going to be able to recognize what it is you're living through. And you're not going to be able to harvest that information. It's not going to ripen into wisdom. Again, protection in reverse. And I think this has a lot to do with someone feeling very left out, someone feeling very, very out in the cold, all alone by themselves. Let me tell you this, the only reason you're all alone and by yourself feeling that way, for some, for most, is because you don't ever allow anyone in. That's your choice. But you can't then later decide, like, oh, no one cares and I'm all alone. You didn't let anyone in. You didn't share any of the things that you're going through. So, how can someone be there with you? If you're going through something and you consistently push away, push away, how are they going to be able to help? They can't. We all want peace, but we don't know how to reach that. By allowing people. This and that are true. Yep. Everything I said is true, I guess. Everything I said is true for you, I guess. I don't know. Believe in yourself. In reverse, that squirrel mind, that human aspect of you. You're more than just human, but you're not also not human. Okay. For those who are like, no, I'm a starseed, I'm not human. Okay. But why are you in a human body? You're human, but you're also more than just human. It's finding this beautiful middle ground between all these different identities that you can identify as. Finding that beautiful middle ground. You have to be able to believe in yourself, and you can't actually truly do that if you don't know who you are. Embrace the in between, but it's in reverse. So it's this sense that you're not just embracing the in between, you're trying to live there. You live in a mobile home. You can bring that everywhere with you. You don't have to stay in one space. You can have your sense of home with you, regardless of what space you enter within yourself, within your personality, within your journey, your perception, all of that. Electric eel spirit, bring your ideas to life, but see in reverse. It's a dropping of frequency, a dropping of belief in self. When you exist in the in between, you don't generate enough polarity to be able to charge yourself, to be able to create a flow. You know what I mean? Be here now. Hummingbird spirit, be here now in this space of happy. Happy is not about perfection. Happiness is not something that naturally occurs once everything perfectly falls into place. You can feel happiness while being depressed. You can laugh while being depressed. You can laugh in the middle of crying. People will think you're crazy because why? Because society at large convinces us we cannot be a totality. We have to be one thing or another. We can only be one thing or another. That's a lie. That's a lie. Take a leap of faith, but it's in reverse. How many times have you taken a leap of faith? So this is like telling us that we're the grasshopper, right? That's how grasshoppers get from one place to another, by taking that leap of faith and leaping again and leaping again and leaping again. That's how you've lived your whole life. Now you're simply being invited to do this consciously. What's the difference? You've been doing that your whole life. So what's the difference? I tell you what the difference is and what makes it extra scary. Now you know you're in control. Therefore, you are accountable for how this turns out. And that is the very reason that most of us will allow other people to make decisions for us. So we don't have to worry about being blamed if it doesn't work out. That sucks. Okay. I've read this comment several times and I was not going to answer it simply because this is a general reading, right? But Michael says to put it on the screen. All right, here we go. Hi Lucy. She says I've cut communication with someone I quickly grew feelings for, and I'm resisting going to seek him out. No formal ending. I'm scared of rejection. Okay. So, for as long as you don't go and seek them out to get the answers that you need, you are consistently living through a state of chronic rejection because you play the scenario out in your head over and over and over again. So, worst thing to happen is to continue to live that way. You thought I was going to say that you seek him out and he says no. No. The worst thing that can happen is for you to remain stuck in this loop, this thought loop, where you can't let it go, but you also can't grab it. You can't let it go, but you also can't grab it. It's like being excessively hungry and standing in the window of a bakery, looking at all the baked goods, smelling the beauty of that bread, and not having the courage to go inside and get a piece. Free samples. All you have to do is go inside and get one. And then you can decide, like, oh, you know what? It smells better than it tastes. I don't really like it. You never know how it's going to end. But if you continue to stay in that cycle of, I'm scared of rejection, which is very common, right? That's a very common thing. It's a very normal, very natural feeling because all of us have gone through some type of rejection at some point, whether it's parents, siblings, friends, whatever it is, right? At some point, we've all been rejected. You'll have that fear, but if you allow that fear to trap you in that cycle, then that's exactly what you are, trapped. I would rather know that someone doesn't reciprocate than to be stuck in that. I would rather know. And see, the thing about Pisceans, the thing about empaths is that you can try and convince yourself, logically deduce that they're probably not interested, because if they were, then they would have reached out. But here's the thing, why do you keep thinking of them? Are you sure that it's only your thoughts? Are you absolutely certain that they're not also thinking of you, and that's why you're thinking of them and can't let them go? Once upon a time, before I met my husband, the people that I was attracted to and drawn to, the people that I ended up dating, the very, very few, were people who I felt their attraction to me, and I didn't realize that I was feeling their attraction to me, and it was not my attraction to them. And so, because I could feel their attraction to me and I didn't realize the depth of my empathy, I identified it as my personal feelings towards them. And that's why I gave them the time of day. And as I got to know them, then I began to realize, like, oh, I don't really think I like you. I don't really think I like you. I'm sorry. That's weird. Oh, that's awkward. That's awkward. Yikes. Oh, I was feeling you feeling me. Dang, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. And that's really what happened. Like, I was feeling you feeling me. I just realized that. I think quite possibly my husband is the only man that I was drawn to him from the start. Like, it wasn't me um feeling him drawn to me, and that's why I was drawn to. No, and I heard his name be way in advance of me ever meeting him, and I was like, who is that? Who is that? I need to know who that is. What do they look like? Who are they? Where are they? And that's the only person. That's the only person. What is going on with my shirt? That's the only person. So I don't question if I'm supposed to be with him or not. Like this, I choose to be, just like he chooses to be with me. I seek him out. I feel him. I seek out his energy to feel him throughout the day if we're not together. There's a difference there. Huge difference for me, but that's how I function. I don't know if that's how you guys function. You're going to have to determine how much that resonates with you and if that's how you are as well, right? Ooh, set healthy boundaries, armadillo. I think for some of you, you're very armored, right? You carry this armor, you wear this armor, and it's like you don't know why you don't connect with anyone else. There's this saying that, like, whatever you don't resolve from childhood, it will come up in your romantic relationships as an adult. That it will be something that, you really, really will be experiencing. Uh, eh, you know, for many, resentment is the armor. Be careful with that resentment. You'll develop gallbladder issues if you don't already have. Final card. Oh, okay. This right here. That's a lovely thought. This man has been on my mind for 22 years, got back together, and now he's had so much going on. He has shut down, which in turn has made me shut down instead of reaching out. So then it's not you shutting down, it's you being highly empathic and sensitive to his condition, his situation, circumstance, and mirroring that. 22 years is a long time to have someone on your mind. It's a very long time to have someone on your mind. Are you going to have the courage to do something about this? This is not about rejection at this point. It feels like this is about a soul connection that's being denied. 22 years is a very long time to have someone on your mind. If that's you in the picture, you look very pretty. So I would assume you don't really have any problems attracting other people. 22 years, that's a long time. It's a very long time. You should have a personal reading. I think this is a very intricate connection that you have. Okay. Highly doubt a man who has been part of your journey in some way, shape, or form for 22 years doesn't reciprocate if he gives it another go. I'm just saying. Yeah. I'm just saying. I think you need a personal reading. Card number 38, Kama of Kali. She is completely and utterly in love with your divine essence, and in her love bestows endless gifts. Your path need not be one of endless effort. Connecting with pleasure is a path of personal empowerment with an intention to bring spiritual benefit to the collective through softening and opening your heart is an act of worshiping the divine feminine. Relax into the presence of what is as you slow your pace and make swifter progress. Kama is a Sanskrit word that refers to the sweet stuff of life, pleasure, emotional fulfillment, and being completely present so we can experience life through all the senses. So it is also sensuality and physical vibrancy. Without the quality of Kama, our experience of life can become dry, bleak, and intimidating. A joyless existence with simply more tasks to be completed. If we are feeling exhausted, lacking the qualities of delight and lightness of the heart, then we have become deficient in Kama, sacred pleasure. In my language, Kama means bed. You know, when you lack a bed, you sleep on the hard floor. You begin to develop pains in areas that are necessary to function, pains that support your entire weight. That sacred pleasure is gone. In the realm of the goddess, the enjoyment of life is a sacred act of devotion, gratitude, and celebration. In the throes of profound challenge and transformation, we can feel disconnected from our joyfulness. It's as though it's as though it were akin to the bright days of summer and we are midwinter, wondering how it ever was that we could frolic about in barely anything when we now feel the need to cover ourselves with abundant protective layers. This is to be expected during times of intense suffering when we are dealing with an issue that has elicited grief or anger. Yet, if we allow our minds to remain open to the possibility of joyfulness and pleasure, they can find their way through like the sun breaking through clouds to bring us comfort. This oracle can indicate not only a more pleasurable way of being as part of your future, but also an offering of pleasure now, even if you're struggling to ease the strain and make the way easier overall. Accessing pleasure requires embodiment, a connection with the senses and the subtle nuances of feeling and beauty. Do you truly embody your life? Do you embody the essence of you? Or is your embodiment the taking in of other people's toxicity, their limiting beliefs, their flawed and fractured mindset? I mean, I would definitely take stock today. I would definitely take the time to reconsider a lot of my approaches and perceptions in my life, about my life. I would take the time today to allow myself, really, really just allow myself to assess, are these my feelings? Are they someone else's? Is this how I really feel about myself? Is this how I feel about my life? Are my emotions towards someone else my own? Or am I feeling what they feel towards me? What am I really going through? What is the goal? What is the objective? So we talked about it. Now it's time to do something powerful. Now it's time to begin applying these aha things that you've experienced during this chat. Apply something to your life. I don't know what you need to apply. I don't know what part of your life you need to apply it to. I just know I feel your displeasure. I feel your sense of lacking. I feel this lack of wish fulfillment. And I don't want to feel that. I don't want you to feel that. I don't want you to live that. So don't. Make some decisions. Excuse me. Figure out some stuff, make some decisions, see what it is you need to do. And it's not you're messing up and everything's all messed up because of you. No, get rid of that mindset. See what you need to do. Assess. Okay, let's make a list. These are the things that are the most important, that bring me the most um, displeasure with myself and my life. This next list are things that, you know, it would be nice if in the next week or two I made this happen, or I changed this, or I got some of this, or got rid of whatever. Make some lists. I don't believe you should live your life based off of lists, but I do believe that lists have a proper place when you are so chaotic in your thoughts and you don't know where to begin. Do yourself a favor and make some lists. Prioritize. See what's the most important. See what you need out of your life. Yeah. It's a lot of influx of information. It's a lot of information coming through. It's coming in, and it's overwhelming. I think for many of us, we get stuck in the patterns we're in because we're so overwhelmed in regards to how we change those patterns. You change it one pattern at a time. That's it. You don't have to do the whole thing. You don't need to overhaul your whole life. You're not broken. You don't need a completely different life. You just need to make a few adjustments to make your life a little more pleasurable, more enjoyable for you, to make your thoughts feel more hospitable within your mind. I mean, you need to make sure. You need to make sure. If you have been having the same issues, right? Or let me rephrase this, make it more potent. If you've been complaining about the same things in your life, it's time to change those things. That's where you begin. If you don't know how to begin, start with making a list and deciding and committing to what you decide. Continuing to be aware of a situation that you're unhappy in, yet remaining in that situation indefinitely. Excuse my language, but what the fuck is that? Like, what is that? What are you expecting from that? Are you expecting to suddenly be happy, to wake up happy one day in the middle of your misery? I mean, like, that's unrealistic. That's very, very unrealistic. And when you have that unrealistic expectation and you continue to wake up unhappy, it's like you are self-fulfilling that prophecy, right? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy of I'm never going to be happy. Well, you don't do anything to bring happiness to your life. So absolutely, yes, you will not be happy. But if in the middle of that unhappiness, you're like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm going to the mall today. I'm gonna get my nails done, or whatever it is that makes you happy. I'm gonna go take myself out to get a boba because boba makes me happy. Then for that moment, I'm gonna feel happy with boba. And for the people who are gonna be like, food is not love, shut up. Let me feel a moment of happiness for myself. Let me enjoy that shit without you chirping in to tell me that I'm living life wrong again. And for many of us, that's the issue is we listen to these chirpers, these fucking chicken head people who chirp, 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 chirp. Cockadoodle do, get back in your crate. That's all they say to you. Cockadoodle do, get back in your crate. They're they are the cocks of the chicken world. I'm just saying, you're listening to a cock. I'm just saying, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. Do what makes you happy for a moment. And in that moment that you're feeling happy, you have that clarity to decide what the next thing you'll do is. There are some days where it's like, I'm not feeling very satisfied with where I am right now. And I will tell my husband that either we're going to go and have a lunch date, or we're going to go and I need to get into nature. I know someone had messaged um, and was concerned because I didn't live stream for 2 days. I was having a mental health day. I'm not burnt out. I explained it to myself, like, I think I'm burnt out, but I look and it's like, I'm not necessarily burnt out. It's that I could feel that I'm approaching that state of, not being fully present, not really showing up, because it's like, oh, I'm tired and I have to keep doing this and I have to keep that. And it is like, girl, you don't have to keep doing anything. No one in your community is forcing you to live stream. Yes, it's beautiful to share space together every morning. But for some mornings, if I really don't have it in me, I know you guys will be like, Emmy, rest, rest. And so, you know what I did? 2 days, I went out into nature. I went out into nature. I went on a hike. I looked at mushrooms, played with the fairies, got Pedro a little rock. And then I went home, had some dinner, took a nap. No, I took a nap in the car. I took a nap in the car, and then I went to sleep. I went to sleep early. I didn't have to do anything extravagant. I went on a hike, a free hike, and afterwards I was hungry. So my husband, he got me food. And then we went home. That was my self-care. That walking in nature helped me to burn up some of that frustration. Frustration at what? I don't know. Sometimes frustration just builds up. Do I need to fully understand it? Sometimes. Most of the time, no. Most of the time, that is energy that I didn't get to utilize. And then it causes frustration. That's okay. Burn it up somehow. Go work out, go do something, walk in nature, go plant some plants, do something that makes you smile. And when I got home, I took a look at all my lychee trees that are going to be growing. I had my kids save a whole bunch of lychee seeds, and because I got them the fresh fruit, and we saved the seeds, and I was able to successfully propagate it, and they're now growing leaves. What? I'm going to have lychees. I'm going to have about 10 of them. My husband's going to kill me when it's time to move again. Because I'm also going to be planting quite a few other trees from seed. So it's going to be interesting. He's going to kill me. Right now, he's supportive and is like, oh, I love all your plants. Your plants look so happy. Makes the house feel good. I know what he's going to say when it's time to move. No more fucking plants for you. That's what he's going to say. He's like, you didn't even think about what I have to do when it's time to move. Hey, have you had a happy, quiet wife this entire time? Okay. That inconvenience of moving, that's the price you pay for the daily peace in your life. If I'm too busy playing with my plants and caring for them and touching their leaves and talking to them, I'm not bothering you. So, okay, that's the cost. So, you guys, own your needs. Own your needs. Speak what you want into being. Be happy. Allow yourself, give yourself permission. Eat yummy food. Do things that make you smile. Go paint. Go walk. Whatever it is, just do it. Do it with no shame, no guilt, no feeling like you are inconveniencing other people. And then carry on. Carry on. Okay. Life is going to be okay. And you're going to make sure that it's okay. Ooh, what? I just got a notification. It says God has planned epic exploits for your life. Bitches, yes. Yes, I claim it all. Yes. I don't know what the exploits are, but I claim it. I accept it. I want to receive. All right, guys, please give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do subscribe. Turn on that notification bell. Join me when I'm live. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here in church. Bye, everyone.